destroying the Roaring Moon and almost taking out the Tropius as well.
This time, no berry. Ooh, and Klefki barely hanging on. Oh no, but the burn!
I think this is going to be a really good match. Smooth Selfies have a really good team. Obviously, we'll be playing Cyndaquils, who's our reigning champion.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Superior Draft League, and today we're going to be breaking down the matchup between Solo Salo and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils versus King and the Spikemuth Pranksters. It's me, Kershaka. I'm back. The past 2 weeks, Salo has been doing a phenomenal job commentating on the matches, and I'm back. We're hoping to get a crew of us together for one of these commentaries. It just hasn't lined up yet, but it'll be me today, and we're going to go ahead and break out this matchup today. So, first things first, these two players doing really well throughout the season. Solo Salo had a little bit of a hiccup starting off in the season, seems to be turning things around, and hopefully he can continue to do so in today's matchup. Let's go ahead and see this team. As we can see, the Groudon, Goldengo, Roaring Moon, Arcanine, Hisuian, Morgrim, and Tropius as the Pokemon that Salo and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils are going to have. Really good team. Let's go ahead and see the opponent. The Spikemuth Pranksters rocking Regidrago, Sableye, Annihilate, Claw Itzer, Jumpluff, and Magearna. Again, two very good teams. And looking at least for the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, since we have a little bit more information here with the items, we do see the Life Orb on Goldengo, massive output damage. That Make It Rain is going to be very strong. Very weak against the Magearna, though, the Make It Rain, just because of that Steel type, and I would assume a full Terra Steel just to maximize Steel typing. I don't know. We'll see what happens throughout the match. The Roaring Moon is also very scary. It does get boosted by that Groudon, and that is one of the newer pickups from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. So Roaring Moon's going to be interesting to see what it does in this matchup. And then Tropius actually making an appearance here. That's a Pokemon that also benefits from the sun. So that Harvest ability could come in clutch. And we do see it's going to be coming in. So Salo locking in two Mons that benefit from that sun. Goldengo taking some pressure from the sun, but I don't think there's anything in King's team that may benefit or, take advantage of that sun that Groudon is going to go ahead and set up. We do see Groudon rocking the safety goggles, Goldengo the Life Orb, Roaring Moon the Focus Sash, the band for the Arcanine, and then we're right into it. We're going right into this match. Again, leadoffs are going to be very crucial, as we've seen throughout the majority of the season with a lot of these commentated matches. And we're going to go ahead and see King's first leadoff here, as we see Annihilate and Jumpluff lead off the pack here. Again, this is going to be a lot of misdirection here with that Jumpluff. It'll be very interesting to see if Jumpluff opts to go into maybe like a Rage Powder, get that Annihilate to set something up. There's potential that maybe Salo swaps into Groudon, and maybe that's what the Spikemuth Pranksters were hoping for, that the Groudon kind of let off so that they can get a free Chlorophyll Jumpluff on that field, but that was not the case. Jumpluff, a Pokemon that can benefit with, or support really, with like Tailwind, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's paired up with that Annihilate. We do see the Kukulkan nickname for that Roaring Moon, which is very fitting. And then we also see Goldengo coming out here. So let's see what we do. We do see what looks to be like a final gambit coming in from that Annihilate. 1 HP on the Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon will be rocking that Focus Sash. Annihilate is going straight out of the field, and that is very, 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 very promising for the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, as we do see the Tailwind kick off here. Now Goldengo will be able to hit that Dazzling Gleam, doing some damage onto the jump bluff, but not enough to knock it down. We do see a Tailwind of their own coming from the Spikemuth Pranksters, so they're canceled out at this point, but definitely that Focus Sash coming in very clutch for that Roaring Moon. Now that the Spikemuth Pranksters do have that information, though, you know, that probably will not play out that same way in Game 2. So let's see what Pokemon the Spikemuth Pranksters opt to switch into here. Again, very strong turn from both teams. I do think there's more pressure coming from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils onto the Spikemuth Pranksters, only because there is that Tailwind and you do have that Goldengo on the field, as we do see the Magearna come in here. Now, it's going to be probably a little bit of Terra questions here, because you can opt to go for that Make It Rain from that Goldengo. You should be able to outspeed the Magearna as well with that Roaring Moon. So you could double target, or you could potentially, if you have Acrobatics on the Roaring Moon, just take out the Jump Bluff altogether, as you might be redirected with that Rage Powder. We don't know. So we're going to go ahead and see what the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils opt to go ahead and do here, as we anticipate a big move, a big turn from the Spikemuth Pranksters in terms of defense here, just because they need to reallocate some of their sources and reallocate and kind of come back together based on what happened last turn. We do see the crunch of the Fire Fang coming from the Roaring Moon into Magearna. We do see the Pollen Puff coming into Magearna. We're recovering some HP, so Magearna's back at full. We do see the Make It Rain coming in from the Goldengo, knocks out the Jump Bluff and barely leaves the Magearna up in the field, a little bit past half. So again, that's another KO from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. And let's see what Magearna does here. We do get that special attack boost because of that ability. Magearna positioning itself to get a double KO here. Oh, not enough for on the Goldengo, but we do get the KO on that Roaring Moon. So again, that was a critical hit there for that Goldengo. But Magearna's poised here to get another boost again. But here's the problem. The Spikemuth Pranksters did lose their Pokemon to redirect, right? So it's going to be kind of hard for them to conserve this Magearna, unless if they have something else in the back. We do see the Groudon come in, which is going to put even more pressure onto that Magearna. We do see the Regidrago come in from the Spikemuth Pranksters. The Sun's kicking in now as well, and again, it's pretty even right now. Even though, you know, the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils do have the lead, that Magearna is posing too much of a threat right now. It's too threatful. So, with that being said, it's going to be very interesting to see how the speed tiers kind of play out here. We do see the Fairy Terra coming from that Groudon to nullify any sort of Dragon-type move coming from the Regidrago, which is a very smart prep. Again, as this season has been developing, we've been seeing our coaches kind of adapt a little bit better in terms of what Terra types they utilize. We do see Groudon going for that Terastallization. We do see the Fairy Terra type on this Groudon, and let's hope and see if it paid off, because if Regidrago comes in with a Dragon move for this slot, it's going to be hard. Let's go ahead and see what this Terastallization from the opponent's side as well. Double Terras here. We do see the Magearna Terastallizing into the Flying type to attempt to probably avoid a ground type move from that Groudon, but I think we saw him lock into a Fire type move. So we do see the Dazzling Gleam coming in from the Goldengo, not enough to pick up a KO on either side. We do see that Life Orb chip. We do see Fire Punch come into the Magearna, and it is enough to secure the KO. And at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils are going to go ahead and take game one. Let's see what that Regidrago was cooking up in the back. We do see that Earth Power go into the Goldengo. Goldengo is now out as well. Again, both teams just knocking each other's Mons out one by one. But again, it does seem like the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils do have the advantage here. They do also have the Sun still set up. We do see the Tropius come into the match. And again, it'd be kind of hard to see a comeback from the Spikemuth Pranksters right now, but it's not entirely out of the window yet. We need to see what else is lying behind that Regidrago. We do see the Helping Hand coming from the Tropius into that Groudon. Groudon attempting to finish this match up right now. We do see the Terra Blast come in. Amazing prep. This should be enough to secure the KO and secure game one for the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, and it is. Regidrago goes down. So again, very strong showing from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils here. They pick up game 1, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the Spikemuth Pranksters adjust. I think they had a really bright idea. Have that jump bluff, potentially take that sun and benefit on your own. However, I think maybe not pairing it with Annihilate and maybe leading off with something else could be a benefit. But again, there's other mons in the back that the Spikemuth Pranksters can work with, right? So any sort of adjustment from their side is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out here in game 2. But right now, I don't think there's much adjustment from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. You probably just want to keep what you got going on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? One thing I would probably consider is maybe Solo Salo opts to maybe not lead with the Roaring Moon just because of the Annihilate and the Final Gambit. Could be a potential change there. We could see the Sableye come in from the opponent, and maybe in exchange for the jump bluff, you bring in the Sableye. I don't know. There's a lot both of these teams can do. I kind of want to see the Morgrim come in from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils and kind of see another Prankster, just because Solo Salo he's known mainly because of his Prankster shenanigans, but it looks like Solo Salo is going to lock in the same team from game 1. And like we were saying before, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no need to continue to show off the rest of your strategy from your team. If you can secure 2 wins with the same strategy, you can serve any other tech that you kind of worked on for your next matchup for the next week. So I like the leads here, or at least the lead with Solo Salo. Just sticking to the guns. It seems it worked well. But if we can secure 2 wins like that, that's great. We do see the Sableye and Magearna lead coming from the Spikemuth Pranksters, so they did swap out their technique here, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Now, Sableye cannot use its Prankster ability on that Roaring Moon, so Roaring Moon will be able to survive a Dazzling Gleam from Magearna, or any move really for that matter, just because of the Focus Sash. So again, that Tailwind is probably secure to just be placed, if you will. But I saw him hovering over the Fire Fang. I'm wondering if he wants to go for the Tailwind. Again, I believe Magearna also gets access to Trick Room, so a good option here is potentially the opponent predicts a Tailwind just because you can't taunt that Roaring Moon. So let's go ahead and see. We get the fake out coming from the Sableye onto the Roaring Moon. And then we do see a Shadow Ball coming from the Golden Go onto the Magearna. That is not going to be enough to secure that KO on the Magearna. That sash is now broken. We do see the Trick Room coming in from the Magearna. The sash is broken on that Roaring Moon. So now we're playing under Trick Room. Trick Room reverts the priority of every Mon on the field based on their speed. So that means slower Mons are now going to be prioritized. So it's going to be very interesting to see here. Now we're playing under Magearna's rules, essentially. Magearna has total domination here. It should be the slowest Mon on the field. Sableye can have other moves as well to kind of support this Magearna now. And that the sash is broken on that Roaring Moon. So Magearna going for a Dazzling Gleam could potentially be enough. But the issue here is Magearna took way too much damage on that first turn, right? So you're probably going to have an exchange here, unless if you decide to swap in, and then you're losing your momentum with that Magearna. So I don't think it was perfect on Magearna's side. I think that Trick Room cost too much in there, and we do see a swap, so we just lost a lot of that momentum. And Sableye isn't too powerful on its own, so let's see what happens here. We do see the foul play, and we do see the Clawitzer swap in for that Magearna, like we were saying before. We do see the Make It Rain knocking down the Sableye, so now there's no Prankster support on the Spikemuth Pranksters team. Clawitzer coming in. Clawitzer will benefit from that Trick Room, of course. We do see the Fire Fang go into that Clawitzer slot, but now the Spikemuth Pranksters are in a really difficult position just because you have 2 Mons that are below half health. That's the Magearna and the Clawitzer. And then you have one Mon knocked out, which is your support Mon in that Sableye. And now you brought in Regidrago. So now I feel like we're expending too much damage onto these Pokemon. And it's going to be very interesting to see just how they kind of dominate back, right? Or how they push back. Right now, Solo Salo has all of the pressure flopped on them. The only benefit of the doubt here is that Trick Room, which we still have a few turns of. We do see Solo Salo swap the Golden Go, bring in the Tropius. And again, Oh, we see Flash Cannon coming in from the Clawitzer into the Tropius. That's not doing a lot of damage, though. We did see some of that Life Orb chip over there. We do see Regidrago going out and destroying the Roaring Moon and almost taking out the Tropius as well. That was massive damage right there. We do see Tropius going for its Citrus Berry. So it's going to recover some of that HP that it just lost. And Solosal looks really focused, almost contemplating on whether bringing that Groudon in or not. But right now, we're pretty even. We're pretty even right now. That Regidrago has all its HP, Groudon has all its HP, Clawitzer and Magearna have half HP or less, and Tropius and Gholdengo have half HP or less. This is a turning point right now. That one move from that Regidrago was enough to kind of even the battlefield. And now, I would argue that the Spikemuth Pranksters really have the advantage here just because of the Trick Room, which should still be in effect. And now, the Sun coming up is great in terms of potentially getting a Harvest for that Tropius, maybe potentially getting the Fire moves boosted for the Groudon, but I don't necessarily see Groudon using those ground moves here. It's going to be very interesting to see what moves are played here, because I think that one move from Regidrago, that was big. That was pretty big. It evened out the playing field, and honestly, the momentum just there is none right now. If anything, you probably argue there's momentum on Spikemuth's Pranksters side of the field in terms of just shifting it back around. So let's see how much pressure is going to be exerted this turn. If you look at the screen, this is by far the most on par screen right now. 2 Mons full health, 2 Mons lower than half health, both Mons in the back lower than half health, like we mentioned before. The only X factor here is that Trick Room. So let's go ahead and see how this turn plays out. We do see a Protect going into the Groudon, trying to stall out this Trick Room. And then we're going to go ahead and see. Ooh, did we? Okay, that I believe that was targeted from the Clawitzer onto the Groudon, and that did not work out. We did see an Air Slash go into Clawitzer. It wasn't enough to knock it down. Draco Meteor did not land into the Groudon. So again, I think both moves were targeted onto the Groudon. We did see Harvest kick in for the Tropius, so Tropius will now recover even more HP because of that Citrus Berry it's picking up. Sallow is pumped that that everything is kind of shifting their way, and this turn was more so of a little inch back from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. Again, very tight. We do have 4 turns of Sun, 1 turn of Trick Room left. So Solosal needs to just survive 1 more turn in Trick Room before his speed tiers kind of go back to normal here. So let's go ahead and see what we opt to do, because again, it looks like you have Air Slash, which could take out that Clawitzer, but it's going to be hard to see if maybe the Spikemuth Pranksters opt to swap. But we did see the Terra Blast being selected here. Let's go ahead and see how this turn plays out, as we do see that Groudon terrassalizing 1 more time into that Fairy-type behemoth, really. It's very interesting. You don't often see a Fairy-type Groudon, but, you know, here we are in Superior VGC, just is going crazy with this. We do see a Protect going in from the Regidrago, which will nullify that move from Groudon. Very good choice there. We do see that Flash Cannon coming into the Groudon, predicting the Terra, and that was big. That was some really big damage there. We do see the Air Slash go into the Clawitzer. That will be enough to secure the KO. So now, the Spikemuth Pranksters are on their last foot. They have their two Pokemon left, which will be their Magearna and their Regidrago. While as the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils still have 3. They do get another Harvest from that Tropius. So Tropius is now carrying its Citrus Berry once again. And then, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see how this match will end up. Now, Trick Room should be out of the way now. Trick Room should be completely out. So speed tiers will revert back. I believe Regidrago will be moving first, if that's the case. So we'll have Regidrago moving first, potentially Tropius moving second, then followed by Groudon, then followed by Magearna. So you can Helping Hand onto that. Ooh, but I don't know if that's the right move. It depends on what moves Regidrago has, but Regidrago will outspeed the Groudon just based on Trick Room, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. We do see the Helping Hand going on to the Groudon. And let's see if we were right. We were probably wrong here. We were wrong. So Groudon securing the KO on the Regidrago. This is big, but now, is it going to be enough? Because now Magearna is going to get a boost here. Is this going to be a miscalculated play from Solosal? because Magirna's going to get its boost right now. Is it going to be enough to... Oh, it went for Trick Room. This is big. This is big. Oh, no. This potentially could have been a misplay. This could potentially be a misplay. I think Magirna will be faster than every mon on the field, and with its boost, it might be enough to secure the KO with the Dazzling Gleam on both of these mons, or any other move that targets 2 mons at one shot. I don't think Solo Salo is aware of this just yet. He's looking pretty confident that he's going to survive, but I think if I'm thinking what the Spikemuth Pranksters are doing is to be played out the way we're thinking about it here, I think Magirna is about to flip the table on him. This is going to be a big move. It's make it or break it here for the Spikemuth Pranksters, because we also know Magirna will be faster than Goldengo on its way back. Plus, if it manages to secure the double KO, it will get more boosts. So, again, this is what we live for, ladies and gentlemen. Superior Draft League. Let's go ahead. I think Spikemuth is taking a second here to make that call, whether or not they think that the Magirna can do it. We do see Protect on the Groudon, so Groudon will live another day. What do we have? We got the Leech Seed going in. Okay. Oh, Flash Cannon does not go in. Ooh, it did not play out the way we wanted. So, Leech Seed does go into the Magirna. We hyped that up for nothing, did we, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So, we did see the Leech Seed. So, a few options that can go out here, right? We do see the... Did they opt to go for Leech Seed again? I did not see that. I did not see the play that was made by the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils there. But they do opt to swap out the Groudon, bring in the Goldengo in an effort to kind of like finish the Magirna just with that. Okay, so we get the Air Slash on Magirna, which could potentially get a... And now we get a Dazzling Gleam here. No knockout, unfortunately, as the Tropius does get its Citrus Berry, and also potentially gets a Harvest because the sun is still up, so it could still potentially harvest its berry again. We do see it recovering even more HP here, as Magirna probably not going to be able to pull off the feat. We do see the Harvest go into the Tropius, and again, it doesn't seem like things played out the way we thought they would. So we could see an Air Slash go into Magirna, and then Goldengo potentially finishing off the match, or we can see Magirna somehow magically living, but the fact that it has Leech Seed, it would have to knock out both mons in order for Leech Seed to not take effect. We do see the Protect from Goldengo. We do see the Air Slash, and Air Slash is enough to secure the KO on the Spikemuth Pranksters. That was a critical hit as well, and Tropius secures the KO, and Solo Salo will win the match, will win Game 2, and that's the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils defeating the Spikemuth the Spikemuth Pranksters. So, that was a phenomenal match from the running champion, really, Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. So, we'll catch you guys next time on Superior Draft League. My name is Kershaka. Catch you guys on the next segments.
What is up, beautiful people? I am Solo Salo, and we're already moving on to week 5 of the Superior Draft League season number 2, but we're going to go over the standings. So far we have played, all of us have played 4 matches, and here's how the divisions are looking so far. For the Orange Division, currently leading the pack, we have Seattle Sandstorm with 5 wins and 4 losses, 25 and 25 for the kill and death count. However, there are 3 coaches there that are pretty much tied because they all have 2 wins and 2 losses in total sets. So in the same situation, we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, my team, with also 5 wins and 4 losses, but I have a 16 and 22 kills and deaths, so still a bit under, and instead of being exactly tied like Coach Obo is. And then we have the Flying Dutchmans, and the Flying Dutchmans, they have 5 wins as well, but 6 losses, and they have 25 and 26 for the kills and deaths. So all of those teams are like in the exact same position, which is very exciting going forward because, for example, I will be facing Obo next week, and then we have a bit below the Riolus Rangers that have won 3 games, lost 6 with a 21 and 24 kills and deaths. And then all the way down we have the Little Rock Lucarios that have already taken a game, so they have 1 win and 8 losses, 15 and 35 for the kills and deaths. So this is the halfway point. Still anything can happen, and to have like a sort of 3-way tie there at the top with Vashe just like right beneath is pretty interesting for me. And now we're going to be moving on to the Violet division. So leading the pack there, we have the Lansing Leafeons. Coach Nick is on fire. We're big fans of Coach Nick, but he has 8 game wins and only 2 game losses. He hasn't dropped any sets at all, and he's got 34 and 24 on the kills and deaths. Then right behind we have the Cleveland Celebi with 7 game wins and only 2 game losses. They got their first loss just this week, so that's a 32 and 16 for the kills and deaths. Then right below the Kent Cloths with 6 game wins and just 3 game losses, 21 and 16 on the kill death counter. Then the Spikemuth Pranksters, they're even with 4 and 4 wins, 4 losses, 21 kills, 20 deaths. And then at the bottom we have the Boston Red Claws, who finally got a win this week, and they're now sitting at 2 wins, 7 losses with 21 kills, 32 deaths. So I think it's still pretty even. Anything could happen because this is again the halfway point. We have some pretty dominant performances right there from the Lansing Leafeons, from the Cleveland Celebi, but most of the teams, in my opinion, they're starting to like figure out what they're doing, and then a couple of plays that could have changed here and there might have changed the outcome of entire sets. So still anything can happen. I don't think anyone can afford to relax just yet, but I hope you're all excited for week 5, and these are your standings. Halfway point there, and things are looking nice. And now that we have seen the current standings, we're going to be moving on to our power rankings. And a quick disclaimer here, I think that other than a couple of placements, maybe 1 or 2, even 3 placements, a lot of these are like, they could change a lot in the upcoming weeks because coaches are all getting better. They're all figuring out by this point how to use their teams. So again, if you have a certain placement right now, that can change pretty easily. And we just went with what our gut for this one. So we're going to start from bottom to top. And at number 10, we have the Little Rock Lucarios with Coach Jerry, who I think by this point is starting to figure out, his team is starting to figure out how to use it. And they haven't been able to get their first win just yet, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be able to do it, like I hope very soon. But again, Coach Jerry, the improvement is there, the team is solid, and I'm hoping to see good things from them in the following weeks. Then at number 9, we're going to have our very own Curse Shaka and the Boston Red Claws, who finally managed to get a win this week. So Curse, his team, he's trying to figure out still how to do it. I've seen some very good ideas from Curse in these weeks, so I'm just hoping that he's going to be moving to the top soon. I support Curse, and I think that he is a coach that is able to do it, but at the moment he's going to be there at number 9. Then at number 8, we have the Riolu's Rangers, who have 1 win as well, and they've been close. Like, they faced the Kent Cloths this time, and that match was a lot closer than I think people would have expected. So I think that Coach Vashe can do it. I think that Coach Vashe, he's just maybe just needs to put a little more time into the prep, but I trust the Riolu's Rangers to move higher if Coach Baye wants to put in the work. But right now, Coach Vashe and the Riolu's Rangers are going to be at number 8. Moving on at number 7, we're going to have the Seattle Sandstorm with Coach Obo. And again, this team, they started out with a loss, and then they were starting to get on a hot streak right there, figuring out the best ways to use that Sun team. And then they ran into Coach Nick. So right now, they're not higher on the list, only because their week 4 match ended up in a loss, but they're still leading the Orange division. So I think that Coach Obo here, he's got it pretty much in his hands to try to make it so that the Seattle Sandstorm climb even higher for next week. Then, in a similar situation, we have the Flying Dutchmans and Coach Kunki, who are coming off of a very impressive win against the Cleveland Celebi that had been one of the top-rated teams so far, and still are, but the Flying Dutchman's able to snag a win right there. So again, these few coaches, they're just pretty much all in the same position right there in the Orange division, where it's entirely up to them whether they move up or down. Their teams and their comps are all pretty solid, so it's just going to depend on how they do for these next weeks, whether they go up or down. Coming up next, we have the Spikemuth Pranksters, and they're dropping 2 positions, but again, only because they're like in the perfect place or in the perfect balance spot where you have the 2 wins and the 2 losses with the same number of games dropped as games won. I think it's the only coach right there with Coach Ching that it's the perfect 4-4. So I think all of their matches have either been 2-0 wins or 2-0 losses. So they're dropping this week only because of the loss, but this coach has proved that they can really manage their team well and they can go in at the times that they need to. So again, whether this team goes back up to the 3rd position that it was in before this week, it's going to be entirely up to them. And I'm excited to see what this team brings to the table after I face them myself this week. Then moving on at number 4, we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, who had a rough start to the season. I'm going to be the first one to say that I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing at times. We had a few transactions going on there, but at least those transactions seem to have put me again in the right spot for me to pick it back up. So we now have 2 wins in a row. I'm figuring out, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with where my team is sitting at the moment, so I'm going to try to keep it up. I'm on a 2-win streak, which is the only reason why I thought that it was okay that I was going to be moving 1 spot. I'm going to be sitting there in the 4th position with my Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, and hopefully I can keep the momentum going. Then at number 3, we're going to have the Kent Cloths, who they did suffer 1 loss unexpectedly. But then again, they were able to stay composed and beat the Riolu's Rangers. So again, I think we all agree that this team is very busted. This team is really good, and Coach Salad has proved that he's able to use it effectively. So the Kent Cloths are going to be going back to that number 3, the number 3 spot on the podium, and I think we can expect some good things from them in the rest of the season. And then going up at number 2, this is a big change, but I think it's what we have to do by this point. So the Cleveland Celebi are going to be dropping from the number 1 position into the number 2, only because they took their first loss. During the entire season, they had been very, very dominant. I think they're still going to be for the most part, but that 1 loss is going to just bring them back just like 1 step below, because this team is still crazy, and the Coach Stell right there has been dominating, but not as much as our team in the number 1 spot. And finally, for that number 1 spot, climbing up for the very first time, I think in the season, we're going to be having the Lansing Leafeons. And the Lansing Leafeons, coached by Kyogre Kawhi, or our friend Nick, they've been like the only team that has dropped a game, but hasn't dropped a single set. So Curse was saying before that this team is kind of it doesn't look like the most broken team on paper, but then you start looking a bit more into it and you see a lot of good synergies, you see a lot of possible strategies. So that in draft is perfect. It's very hard to prepare against this team, and Coach Nick is a very smart coach, so he's been proving it. This team is still undefeated in sets, very dominant, and they're your number 1 for the powered rankings. And this is our whole list, and we are very happy that you decided to join us today, and we'll be seeing you all next week.